2. There we go.
I defer to Director Thomas.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good. All right, guys, just getting one more thing here. I think we have 1 minute. And I will start now. Good evening, everyone, and thank you, and welcome to the October 13th, 2022 WCCT board meeting. May we have the roll call, please?
Maureen Toms,
Here.
Tiffany Grimsley,
Here.
Norma Martinez Rublin,
Here.
Maureen Powers,
Here. Excuse me.
Tom Hanson. Looks
Here.
like. Oh, hi. I'm sorry, you're hiding.
I just snuck in.
Oh, okay. Dion Bailey,
Present.
and I see Chris Kelly's joining us, or Chris Kelly.
Mika, I'm an alternate, so I'm just observing.
Okay, got you.
Okay, with that, I think we have the attendance take, we have a roll call done. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'll go ahead.
Maureen, yeah, please.
Yes, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item B on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve.
And I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second. I guess we do roll call on that too, please. And Mika, we can't.
Maureen Toms,
Yes.
Tiffany Grimsley,
Aye.
Norma Martinez Rublin,
Yes,
Maureen Powers,
Yes.
Tom Hanson,
Aye.
and Dion Bailey.
Aye. Thank you. With that, next item is public communications. This is the time for members of the public to bring up with the board of directors matters of general interest that are not on the agenda. Do we have any public comments this evening?
No, we do not.
Okay. With that, the next item on the agenda is consent calendar. Do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Okay. Moved by Powers,
Second.
seconded by, sounds like Hanson. We have a roll call, please.
Maureen Toms,
Yes.
Tiffany Grimsley,
Aye.
Norma Martinez Rublin,
yes,
Maureen Powers,
Yes.
Tom Hanson,
Aye.
Dion Bailey.
Aye. Thank you. We're moving along here. Next item is items of board action or discussion. And the first is 2.1, and that's discussion regarding the board finance and administration subcommittee meetings. And so I'll turn this over to staff for a report, please.
Thank you, Chair. So there is a staff report in your packet that kind of just outlines the very basic, I would like to start getting this subcommittee together on a more regular basis. So we did try and poll the members of the subcommittee, and I think we sort of came to consensus around these, at least the times, maybe not perhaps the dates, but I think it's just important we can put these dates on the calendar. We'll send out some calendar links if the board kind of approves this item tonight, and just so these dates are on people's calendar and we can plan around that. There will be times where we may need to have the subcommittee meet on a more ad hoc basis, and I'm sure there'll be times where we don't actually need to have these meetings that we put on the calendar. But you may note that the first meeting is actually in 2 weeks' time, and I would really like to hope we can keep that date open. So there are 3 items that I would like to bring at that time. We are just wrapping up our annual financial audit, and I think it would be good for the subcommittee to just get maybe a little bit larger presentation on that before we bring the item to the full board. you may remember a few months ago, I gave a presentation about this short-range transit plan that we had that is due to MTC. I do have a draft written, which MTC are looking over right now. I'm hoping to get some feedback in the next 2 weeks, but I think it would be good to bring that item to the F&A committee. We can go over the format of it because it is very different from what you will have seen before in a short-range transit plan. So I think it would just be good to get some understanding with a few of the board members on how that document is going to look and kind of what it might mean and how we'll be able to use it. And then the third item is the BART feeder bus funds. Again, it's something we've it is an item we've talked about a few times. We still don't have any actual resolution with how the BART feeder bus is going to be funded after next year. We have meetings with MTC and with BART scheduled and the 4 East Bay operators, but there's nothing really definitive to tell you at any point now. So well, hopefully in 2 weeks' time, I may have some more information to share with the F&A subcommittee and we can see how to move that item going forward. So tonight, this is just it's an information item. I do outline the members of the committee. It'll be Chair Bailey and then directors Toms and directors Androna Chavez as well. So they're the members of the subcommittee. So hopefully we can have that meeting in 2 weeks and start using the subcommittee to get some things achieved. So,
Thank you, Rob. So I think there's 2 things here. One is that I guess going forward, whenever the Finance Committee, Finance and Mission Subcommittee meets, you'll give an update. You kind of give a pre-briefing to the full board, and then so we'll get what we just got probably once a quarter. It sounds like, and then also you need the full board to approve these proposed meeting dates. Understanding they could change a little bit, but this just lets us block our calendars so we're not sort of polling each other via email and things like that. Makes it a little bit cleaner for staff, it sounds like.
Yeah. I don't think we need formal approval. I think we just need direction to staff to go ahead and put these dates on the calendar.
Okay, I'm going to just listen and take a look to see if anyone has any comments or questions or for staff. Yes, Maureen Powers, Director Powers.
Thank you. I have a question. It's been a long time since I was on the F&A committee. So you named the names, and I think it was Dion Bailey, Nora Martinez Rubin, and Maureen Toms. Is there no? I didn't. It was kind of garbled at the end. So could you please repeat the names and the positions that are on the F&A committee?
Sure. No, I mean that's right. It is. It's the current chair, the current vice chair, and the past chair. So they're the members of the subcommittee, and the current vice chair actually chairs the subcommittee. So it's Maureen Toms would be the chair, and Dion Bailey and Aleda Chavez would be the other members.
Thank you for that clarification.
Any other comments or questions? So seeing none, if I have the right, I think Rob wanted some direction. Bob, is it best that we just kind of vote so that we can get you have a record that we're agreeing?
No, I think by the lack of comments gives me the direction that
Okay.
go forward. So I think we're fine with that.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Okay. So moving on then, we've got that agreed upon. So we have quarterly meetings. They're published here now and we'll adjust as necessary. Next item on the agenda is discussion regarding format of future WCCTA board meetings. And I think this deals a little bit, well, I'll let Rob inform us. Go ahead, Rob.
Sure. So again, staff report just kind of tries to outline how we've done these meetings in the past. Obviously, pre-COVID, we were met in the Pinole City Chambers, and we used Pinole TV to actually record and broadcast the meetings on the cable channel. So that's obviously an option for us to go back when we decide to go back to in-person meetings. Now, I did offer up the other alternative of we could use our conference room, our facility. We would need to do some upgrades, certainly to the audio and the technology there, but probably just some actual upgrades to the painting, and there'd be a little bit of work to do to make the meeting a little bit more, the room a little bit more conductive to board meetings. But it is an option going forward. And we have reached out to Pinole TV for a new quote on what it would cost to provide, the whole meeting setup. We have not heard back from them yet. But I think there's two things to consider. There's a new legislative that's just been passed, which is AB 2449, that slightly changes the requirements of how, if board members chose to meet remotely, certain requirements on posting their location are part of the agenda. This legislative that's just passed has made some compromise to that, in that if less than a quorum of the board members do wish to join remotely, they can do if they have just cause, which is pretty much if there's an illness, an emergency, childcare facility, or if they're away from business, away on official business, they would not have to post a location that they were calling in from or remoting in from. Otherwise, they would have to. So in-person meetings is pretty much going back to how it was pre-COVID in terms of how locations would need to be noted. But I do also want to note that SB 361, which is how we are currently meeting remotely, does not sunset until January of 2024. And having spoken to our attorney, and my understanding of it is we could still carry on in this exact format under SB 361, unless the governor makes a change to that and changes the legislative. But so we could still meet as we are going forward throughout the next calendar year. So there's just a few options for the board to consider if we would like to carry on doing that, or if we really do need to follow up with Cronulla TV and engage on setting up the meetings again, being in person. I think in the staff report I mentioned, we could start doing that as of January, but that's entirely up to the board as they would like to move forward on how we all meet as a group. So happy to answer any questions, or just would like some direction as to which staff, how board would like to do this going forward.
Okay, thank you for that. I see 3 hands. So I'll start with, in my order here, it's Director Toms, and then Director Martinez.
Sure. Thank you. I have not read up on AB 2449. Does that take effect January 2024 when SB 361 sunsets?
It actually takes effect January 1st, 2023. And so both are in parallel, if you like. So, you can either meet under either one of the two provisions.
Okay, and then the only problem that I see with AB 2449 is that, if somebody had a last minute illness, that would not be able to be posted at the same time that the Brown Act requires the agenda to be posted. Just noting that for.
Well, just to clarify, if there was an emergency, you can remote in out noting your location. If it's an emergency, or if there's just cause, which is childcare or an illness, you can remote in, but there's only a certain limited number of times in an annual year you can use that provision.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Director Toms. Director Martinez Rubin.
Yeah, I believe it's only two meetings in a calendar year that you would be allowed the opportunity to join in remotely. I think the interest is to try to get people back in person as much as possible. My question is to the staff in the times, the question, pre-COVID, if you can count on your hand how many people actually asked you to meet in person who are not on the board. In the time that I've been on the board, no one has asked me about joining a board meeting as a member of the public, which speaks to the a number of things. Perhaps people are unaware that they have the opportunity to do so, but at the same time, the lack of interest in meeting. So continued meetings via Zoom among us then would not necessarily minimize opportunities for people who are not even either aware or not taking them to participate. So back to my question. In the recent past, since our calendar year began, have any of you received, and this goes to the board members as well, any of you received any requests from members of the public to join the discussion at a board meeting or simply to participate as an auditor? Is someone listening in?
Nope.
I'll comment. I've not received such, but I was on a recent long hiking trip where I met members of the Pinole community who emphasized that it was really important to them to be able to view the meetings. These are very involved individuals, important for them to be able to view the meetings on television. So for what it's worth, there are some people out there who really do pay attention. We don't know because, of course, we can't tell who's watching on television as opposed to actually being, you know, in our boardroom. So that's just a comment to give some community perspective.
And I think from a staff perspective, I can only think of one person who has actually attended the meeting, and he was actually a vendor interested in an item, you know, a particular item. So it wasn't particularly a member of the public. It was a vendor who we work with who was interested in the discussion. And he was remoting it. He would have had to remote in because he's based on the other coast. So.
Okay, if there's anything else from that, then we'll go to Director Hansen.
You know, one question I had is, could you do back and forth, or is once you move away and go live, you have to stay live?
Yes, because the only reason we can is because we have maintained that resolution under SB 361 for the entire time. So once you lose that 30-day resolution, you can't go back to it.
And then just from previous years, we actually had a situation where we were in the Pinole Chamber and people came in and wanted the bus removed from their neighborhood and wanted to stop the route. And about 5 minutes later, people started walking into the chamber because they were down there to say, don't get rid of the route. It's important to us. So there are people that are watching, and they did come down when something came up there that they cared about. So we did have that one individual who was, I think he was in a wheelchair that came a couple meetings. So we have had a couple of people that came with specific items too. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Hansen. Director Powers.
Yes, so I want to emphasize again that I do think that we need to be responsive to the community, and I do think that there is utility in the television, CCTV thing, or I don't really know what the term is, in maintaining that. The other thing, and I think that's really a community benefit, because just as Director Hansen has pointed out, people find out about these things, and they don't find out necessarily by being at the original WSCAT meeting, the board meeting, they find out through other means. So, and one means is the television station. The other thing I want to say is that I favor continuing in some form, being able to do remote meeting, a hybrid perhaps. I mean, I don't know how difficult that would be, but that would be my favored.
We have done some beginning testing with hybrid meetings for our WSCAT and MV staff meetings. And we've had some fair amount of luck with it. As Rob mentioned earlier, there would be a couple of technology updates that would need to be made to make it a little more conducive to everybody. But the hybrid option is something we are keeping an eye on and working towards.
Thank you so much, Rob. I'm a member. I'm the small bus operator representative to CCTA, Contra Costa Transit Authority, and they are managing to do remote, hybrid meetings. It was difficult, and we had a little bit of a glitch the first time we tried it, but it's working okay. And so I really appreciate your efforts along those lines.
So I'm just going to repeat what I think I've heard. Oh, I'm sorry. Director Toms.
Yeah, I have one more thought, is that when Pinole was completely online, we still were able to broadcast on our PCTV. And that might be an option, sort of an interim option for Rob to take check with PCTV and see if they can do that. There's also ways that you could broadcast Zooms through a website and things like that. I know people have been able to just flip the channels and, oh, there's a meeting on, I'm going to watch that. They're still able to watch a meeting, but they have to really want to. They have to pull up the agenda and pull up the Zoom link. So, but I'm just wondering if there's a way we can stream it and still stay online. That might be an interim thing until, say January of 2024.
And yes, Zoom has the ability to stream directly to YouTube, and most public access, I'd have to check specifically with the one you're speaking of, but I do know that a lot of public access channels can stream also directly from YouTube. So if we set up a YouTube channel, stream to there, the public access could pick it up from there and stream it directly. And that is something else that I've tested with the hybrid style meeting. So that would also be an option down the road if that's the direction we go.
And just one other point is, all of our past Zoom, all of our meetings on Zoom are available to be viewed again via our website. There's links to all of our meetings over the past couple of years. So, maybe we haven't done a great job of advertising that fact, but they are available to anyone can view at any time.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to hear. I guess if I can just.
I'm sorry, may I make one final comment?
Oh, yeah, I'm not closing anything. I was going to just comment myself, but go ahead, Director Powers, please.
Thank you. I was just going to mention to Rob Petty that you might want to get in touch with CCTA, because the last meeting, the previous meeting that we had and the upcoming meeting are broadcast via some kind of webinar arrangement, so that people who want to just watch can click on a link and go to that web.
We have that feature with our Zoom also. We don't have just the basic Zoom when we got into this. This is something that when I spoke with Charlie and everybody about back in the very beginning, we decided to go for the bigger package just in case the webinar option was something we would want to use. So we do have that feature. I've not used it yet, but I have looked into it and it is pretty simple.
And I was going to say that what I was hearing here so far is that people, it sounds like the directors liked the Zoom, but we would like to look for some way to link that to CCTV, right? So those are the two things we're talking about. And I wondered if we could just leave it to staff to see if they can come up with a solution that does both of those. And then they can report back on what those options are, whether it be Zoom webinar or some other source. I think I heard PCTV. I think we use Contra Costa for ours, but we do a similar process in Hercules. So I think that might be where we're going, but I'm going to pause because I see Director Martinez-Rubin has her hand raised.
Yeah, I think, well, one reason I asked the question that I asked was because I think what we want to not lose as well is not only having the option for someone as a member of the public to view a recording, but to participate while the meeting is going on, whether that's via Zoom or in person. And I just want to emphasize that aspect of it. I think the examples that you gave were that few and far between, but it does happen. And the more that we promote that opportunity, I think we can only expect that there would be an increase in participation, but we have to have the means to allow people to participate while a meeting is happening. And during some webinars I attend, the means to do that is program, is by design that at a certain point during the agenda, people can either call in or write something in the chat. But that participation option, I think, is the one of the key things if we want to continue promoting or do more of the promotion, that our meetings are not just for discussions among us, but that we welcome public input, and also to build that public participation over time, even though we may have had it interrupted because of COVID. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I saw Councilmember, excuse me, Director Grimsley's hand raised. Was that, then it's gone. Is it down again or?
I was just going to comment briefly since you referenced the Hercules City Council. Ours has worked really well, I think, and we have a Zoom option, so a hybrid option, or even though we've returned to in-person council meetings, we have Zoom attendees as well as in-person attendees. But even in our Zoom meetings prior to returning to an in-person format, our Zoom attendance was available for the public to attend our meetings. I don't think that the attendance on average was much lower when we were on Zoom than it is normally in person. Whenever there's an item or an occurrence like a reading of a special proclamation that invites more attendance, generally our meetings have relatively low attendance, but on those special occasions, a number of people will show up, and that occurred on Zoom as well as during the hybrid format. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Director Grimsley. So I'll go back to try and do a summary so we can kind of give some points to staff to go work on some things. So I've heard hybrid, right? In which case folks could be in person or online. And that's example, I think that Tiffany gave about how Hercules Council does it. We have a large TV screen behind staff, which can project the person that's not present in the meeting, for example. I don't know if staff can coordinate that at WestCat, but the thing is they can come back with the answer to that question, right? So I think what we should look at first is we're looking just through January, right? Because in January we have some new requirements that are kicking in anyway. So through January, do we want to have staff do some interim for the next 2 months investigation into hybrid, or do we want to wait till January when we're going to be compelled to do more steps? So I guess that's the first question. So do we have any discussion around that?
It's
Yes.
it's my understanding that SB 361 goes to January 2024. So we could do the next 15 months how we're doing it now, is my understanding.
So I thought Rob said 22. Maybe I misunderstood that part when Rob keyed in. So maybe.
No, so that's correct. There is a concern, there is a possibility that the governor could rescind SB 361 at any point. So I think it would be good if we staff did a little bit more research, and if we plan on moving towards a hybrid format, that seems to be the kind of way people are looking at. So around January, maybe we can consider a way to make a hybrid meeting with still the Zoom option available. I think there's a little bit of work that staff need to do with the City of Pinole TV, and with Rob Perry to kind of coalesce around a couple of different ideas. I think we'll just plan on, if it's okay, we'll come back to the board with carry on this discussion perhaps next month. Okay, so
I think what I'm hearing now is hybrid with the ability to CCTV it, or whatever we call PCTV it, whatever it is. Okay, so that's what we have out there. And I think I see Director Hansen's hand raised.
Yeah.
I guess the one question is on the hybrid. It was mentioned earlier that to not relocate, give out your location, and allow anybody to come only in emergency. So if we went to a hybrid, would people then have to be either in a public place or allow anyone into their home during the meeting, because it would now be part of a public meeting? I think that's the other answer to how the hybrid would function legally, to have somebody not ever come to a meeting for the next until 24. Would they have to actually open their door to anybody that wanted to come in?
My understand, I will have to double check on that, because that was something that I thought about, Director Hansen. But my understanding is if we stay meeting under SB 361, we can have hybrid meetings. But I will clarify that. It's if we stop the SB 361 resolution where the issue would start.
Okay, that was an excellent question. So I'm sorry, Director Thomas.
Sorry, I just wanted to bring one thing up, is that in Pinole, we have PCTV, Pinole TV. And I think for Hercules, you have CCTV, which is through the county.
Yes.
And I don't know if Crockett and Rodeo receive, get PCTV on, through their cable networks. And I'm not sure about Hercules also, if it's broadcast, but if it's not, then we should probably go with CCTV because Pinole residents can get that. But it's just a matter of in the Pinole chambers, they don't broadcast for CCTV. So just adding another wrinkle for Rob to look into.
Yeah, I think.
I don't think that'll be a problem. I honestly think if we set up a side YouTube channel and use that for our streaming feature, that just about everyone of the local broadcast should be able to pick that stream up
Okay.
and rebroadcast it into their own. So, but I will make a point to contact the two you mentioned, County and Pinole, and then I can do some research for Hercules. Crockett would be either County or Hercules because that's what they were when I lived there. So
So we don't have to build it. We don't have to build a studio and put a satellite in the air. We don't have to do it. We can probably bypass. Okay.
no, we can use stuff that already exists and features we already have. It will just take some fine tuning and some collaboration.
I think it's going to take a little bit of few conversations with both cities to determine where the best location for us to meet, given some of these different parameters may be going forward. So I think there's a little bit of research on our side to do.
All right. Thanks, Rob. Is that enough guidance for this?
Yeah, I think we've got a way forward. It's just, I say, I think we'll bring this back next month for maybe just further discussion, or maybe, with some options, but let's see how far we get.
Okay. So with that, then we'll move to item 2.3, which is a 2022 amended and restated Clipper MOU. Rob, please.
Thank you. So the WCCTA board did actually approve the original Clipper MOU back in 2015. And it's pretty much a requirement that we do approve this MOU to remain part of the Clipper program. I think there's 22 of the 27 transit agencies are on Clipper right now. We as an agency and the region have invested pretty heavily in the Clipper system to collect fares on board our vehicles. Right now, around 50% of our riders actually use the Clipper system. And I did outline, I'll go over some of the benefit or some of the changes and the actual purposes of the MOU in a second, but in the staff report, I did outline the annual costs over the last 4 years that we've paid to Clipper as part of their ongoing maintenance and operations of the system. So the Clipper MOU, it's a pretty large document. I did include it. I don't expect any of you actually went through it in any detail. But its main purpose is to clarify the roles and responsibilities of the Clipper Executive Board and also the Clipper Executive Director. It outlines approach to how to allocate the costs between all of the operators who are involved in the Clipper system and MTC. There's a pretty complicated formula that goes into kind of allocating those costs against all parties. And it also outlines the Clipper goals and performance measures. As for the changes from the MOU that was approved back in 2015, they're pretty minor changes. I think the biggest change is there's the addition of all of the Clipper 2 information. So Clipper's going through a next generation process of, upgrading all of the equipment, all of the software, how all of the agencies interact with the system. So that's all incorporated into the new document. And it's worth noting that when Clipper 2 comes on board, we as staff will have a lot more access to data and information that we get from the Clipper system. Right now, the way we're set up in the system, our data is very minimal. All we know is, and we have to do a lot of work to actually find out our actual ridership by route, because all Clipper provides us is ridership on board WCCTA system. It's like a lump sum whole number. So the next generation of Clipper 2, will actually give us route by route and actually stop by stop information. So we're going to get a lot more information once Clipper 2 kind of is up and running. The other changes, it does update the cost sharing structure, and it also expands some of the goals of the Clipper system. It talks about increased regional functionality, the use of mobile Clipper cards and apps within the system, and also has the ability to have an open payment system and compatibility going forward. A couple of the things that were originally intended to be included in the MOU that staff have, or MTC and Clipper staff withdrew, were some pretty stringent requirements on us only using Clipper as an electronic payment form going forward. No any other payment apps or any other systems that were not linked to the Clipper system. MTC backed off on that because they had a lot of feedback from particularly the large operators who have invested pretty heavily in payment apps and other ways for passengers to pay into their system. Didn't really affect us, but I think in the long run, I'm glad that it's not there because it does give us the opportunity to look at other payment options kind of going forward. So with that, I think I mentioned, Clipper has become a really vital part of how we accept fares on our system. And, I feel it is important that we do approve this MOU. I think there's no real downside to it. The restated splitting of costs between agencies and MTC, because we are such a small part, is going to have a very negligible effect on us. I don't anticipate the costs are going to increase. I think we're just going to see costs pretty much at the levels we have, over the past few years. So happy to answer any questions, but we are seeking a recommendation to approve myself signing the documents going forward.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Director Powers.
Yeah, I just have a comment. I mean, Tom Hansen and I have been on this board long enough to remember the struggles from the beginning, about whether to do Clipper or not, and all the strange ramifications. To know that 50% of our passengers now use Clipper is astonishing. I mean, I really think that's good. It's good news. I'm very much in favor of doing, whatever we can do to continue to make this easier for our passengers to.
Thank you, Director Toms. Any other comments towards the proposal, which is for staff to authorize staff to sign the agreement? Okay, seeing no additional comments. I think it's great too that 50% are using it. It's moving in that direction, right? Which probably helps with cash and all that kind of things with handling of it. So I think it's a good thing. With that, do we have a motion to approve staff's request?
So moved.
I'll move to approve staff's recommendation.
Okay, so I think I heard Powers first. Is that then a second from Martinez Rubin?
Sure.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Can we get a roll call vote, please?
Maureen Toms,
Yes.
Tiffany Grimsley,
Yes.
Norma Martinez Rubin,
Yes.
Maureen Powers,
Yes.
Tom Hansen,
Aye.
Dion Bailey.
Aye. All right, so that motion carries. Great job. The next item on the agenda under discussion is 2.4, and that is update on WestCat's marketing and promotional activities, because October is Free Rides Month.
So I'm going to actually ask Mika to maybe just give a little background on this, because she's put this whole document together. So let her just give a little bit of information, and then I'll maybe add a couple of things, and then we'll have any conversation that you'd like to have around it.
Okay, well, basically going forward, we just want to start highlighting things that's going on around the facility, community outreach programs, events, driver recognition, safety, ongoing programs, and promotions that we have. So this month, I just basically kind of with staff went along and tried to highlight a few things that I thought that might be important that the board would actually like to know about, and kind of just keep you guys informed going forward. I will say not every month might not be lengthy. Some months might be a little more activity than others, but this is something that we do want to just go ahead and keep you guys in the know about what's going on and what we've been up to in between meetings.
I think the only thing I would add is I think my intent would be to include this on the consent calendar going forward, unless the board, wanted more of a discussion on it every month. But that would be my intent, to include this on the consent calendar.
No, this is, well, I'll wait to the end. I think it's great, though. Any other comments from the board? Yeah, I will just say that I really appreciate it. Somehow I always found out about the events from Maureen Tom's in LinkedIn, as opposed to me seeing it off the website. So this helps us get it out there first. So that's good. I really do appreciate seeing it out there.
You have to like WestCat on Facebook.
They are like, but for some reason I see you first. But anyway,
Oh.
It's probably the interaction. It's probably the interaction. We have been in talks, like, preparing our marketing more or getting more things out there and more on a continuous basis. Yvonne was doing our marketing beforehand, and now she went over to more on the financial side. So it's a little bit of myself, a little bit of Mike, everyone. So we are trying to, get some things together to where it's out there more on a continuous basis and what people will want to see and get the feedback and interaction going. So it is more visible.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I think the community will appreciate it as well. Okay, so there was no action actually on that one. It was just information only. So if there's no other questions on that item, we will move to committee reports. Uh-oh, did I miss somebody? I did. Director Martinez-Rubin, I'm sorry.
Hi there, I popped up. Sorry, just wanted to commend the staff for letting us know in advance. That's what I'm taking away, that we will hear a month prior the kinds of things that are coming up. And that's great. Social media can just be so overwhelming or all consuming. And so when we get together on a monthly basis, for me, it's a focused time that even announcements about what's coming up, I can really pay more attention to. So I appreciate it. And then it also gives one an opportunity to share that information as we go around and meet people or people ask us between meetings. So just double thanks for that. You compete, WestCat, as much as I love it, it competes with everything else that is on our plate. So again, focus time during a meeting works well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from the board before we move to the next item? Okay, great. So again, the next item is committee reports. General manager's report is up first.
Okay, so I just have 2 items I was going to share. It's going to give an initial update on our ridership we've seen at the start of the promotion in October. I only have a week's worth of ridership numbers and they are not finalized. So I'm not going to put my hat on these numbers being, where we will end up, but just for the first week, if we compare our ridership, our average daily ridership in September compared to the first week of October, our local service has seen a 15% increase. Our express service about the same, about 16% increase. Our links has actually increased 46%.
Wow.
So I think people are hopefully taking advantage of those free $5 rides into the city. And then just some additional context as to where that puts us, again, average daily ridership compared to where we were in October of 2019. October is historically one of our highest ridership months. So the local service is now around 72% of those pre-COVID levels. The express service is around 58%, and the links is now up to 60%, which the links had lagged behind quite a long time. So it's nice to see that the links is starting to slowly pick up some ridership. And just anecdotally, I noticed someone had mentioned us on Twitter today that they got on board one of the double deck vehicles in the city, and they mentioned how full it looked. And it was during the commute. So we are definitely starting to see some increase in ridership throughout, hopefully part of this campaign, that we will keep those ridership. And then the second item I wanted to give an update on, I'm actually going to ask Rob Perry to maybe do this. It's just the bus wash project. I think we actually do have some meaningful updates to give you, and I'd just like Rob to kind of fill you in as to where we are as of this afternoon, I guess.
Yeah, this afternoon and tomorrow morning. So we are very close. We've had most of our inspections at this point. We had fire earlier this week, which was our big one, and we did pass. We have a couple of minor line items, some signs to hang, but She did pass us with the understanding that once the signs are in place, she'll come and review it. Today we had our wastewater inspection. They are asking us to scope a portion of our line for them, which our contractor is arranging right now to hopefully have done next week. And once they see that, everything else about it is done. So as long as the scoping goes well, we will have our wastewater approval. And we had Public Works in today. She had one or two questions that she had to take back to her office. She's coming back at 8 a.m. tomorrow to verify our pre-existing storm drains. But we should have that signature very soon too, as she does seem very happy with the progress. The physicality of the bus wash itself, we have been running vehicles through it for testing. It's not 100% functional. We're only able to use water at this point, but it does work fantastic even with just the water. The Mackay, the company that we actually purchased the physical bus wash from, is coming back out next week to finish tying in all the soap systems so that we will have full functionality at that point. And I believe that's everything.
I think, Rob, you left some stuff out. So this thing recycles water, right? And a bunch of other fancy stuff. Tell us about it from that perspective, please.
Yes, 60% of the water is recycled from the unit itself. It has a very interesting, in fact, if any of you'd like to come out and see it, just let me know and I will give you the full tour. So in the wash bay itself, it drains into a storage unit underneath the utility room that then takes between 60 and 65% of the water, filters it, puts it back into the water tanks and reuses it. So for every wash, we actually only have about 30 to 35% waste, which is fantastic. And the system, we had a lot of concerns early on about noise, how loud this was going to be. Oh, you can stand in the bus wash and have a normal conversation while it's running. It is a really amazing piece of engineering all the way around. I'm very impressed. The ease of the features. My guys literally, they go out, they flip one switch and start driving buses through. If we want special features to be done, you can walk into the utility room. They have a very intuitive touch screen that you just go, okay, well, I want these brushes to move a little faster, or I want these brushes to do something different, or I want to raise our levels of soap in the water or reduce it. It's a really feature-rich unit, and I'm very impressed with it.
Thank you, Rob. So that was, if somebody wants to come out, they can come out and stand in the wash while it's operating. That was the invite. Okay. Keep that in mind. Okay, with that, I'm going to go over to Director Martinez-Rubin and then Director Powers after that.
The bus wash project, yeah, looking forward to being there and seeing how it works. So remind me, please, how many buses we have, not necessarily by type, but overall the fleet size, and how often does a single bus get washed, let's say in a week's time?
Our fleet is just over 70 total vehicles, including all of our what you'd call revenue vehicles. Right now, since everything has been being hand washed for a couple of years, they are understandably a bit grimy. So I actually have each bus going through every other day at minimum right now. It does look like once the system's fully functional, we'll probably be running once a week per vehicle for the external, because it does, like I said, a really good job. It takes the external drive-through takes roughly 4 minutes for a full-size bus. So I can actually do the majority of my fleet in a single day. They still have to do the inside, of course, which takes considerably longer, but yeah, it's an efficient system. So once everything's caught up and running well, it'll probably only be running for a couple hours a day.
Thanks.
Sorry about that. Director Powers, go ahead.
Yeah, sign me up for a tour. I mean, this is really exciting to actually have it functioning and nearly completely online. I did have a question about interior, but you answered that. You're going to do interior. I'm very impressed with WestCat's commitment to safety, health, efficiency, all of those kinds of things. I think we're one of the best probably in the industry about that. I mean, Rob Thompson could tell us about that. But thank you so much, Rob, for this report. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, and like I said, anybody that does want to come down and see it before the official opening and get the behind the scenes, just shoot me an email or give me a call. I'm there Monday through Friday, and I can come in early, stay late, whatever, to make sure that you guys get to see our new baby.
Can you give some hints to Bart, maybe?
Any other questions on for staff? I guess this is general manager and his team.
Yeah, echo that.
Okay, with that, we go to WCTAC representative report.
Yeah, that's me. I was out of town for the last WCTAC meeting, and Aleda was not able to attend either. So I don't have a report for that, but I can report that the CCTA, the Contra Costa Transit Authority, which I said I represent, represent the small bus operators there, did have a 2-day workshop on transportation future in Contra Costa County. There isn't a report yet, but there will be. It was pretty exciting. I mean, there were some really, really interesting things going on county-wide that I'm not sure this body is aware of. So when that report comes out, I will bring it to you so that you're aware of what's going on too. There's some, autonomous vehicles projects going on, all kinds of really interesting things. So although I don't have a WCTAC report, I do have a CCTA, unofficial report.
Thank you for that. We all appreciate it. I have a question for General Manager, which I don't need an answer for today, but over in Hercules, a bus stop was added in, and I think all the board knows why it's not yet being serviced. My question is, at a future agenda, could we have a little bit of a report of where we are with that? We know that there's a ridership issue. We just discussed that, but I've had some questions from the public, and I wondered if you could just do a minute or so talk, maybe at the same agenda item point, just at our next meeting, if that's okay. You don't have to answer it, but that's my ask.
Well, I actually just drove by the stop today, and Rob and I were discussing it last night, I believe, actually. We are waiting for a final concrete pour between the bench and the road to facilitate the foot traffic. Either Rob or myself will be following up with the city to find out if they have a scheduled time for that.
No, Rob, thank you for that, because that I wasn't clear. There's 2 bus stops we'd be looking at in Hercules. One is next to Safeway, and you're right, Hercules needs to do some work with that concrete pour so that folks can transit from the sidewalk across what is now sort of a parkway strip. The other one was at the waterfront. That was one that I was asking about and not being as clear as I could have been.
My apologies.
No, it's not yours, me. I wasn't clear. We have 2 coming. That's a positive thing. Potentially. So maybe Rob, maybe for next meeting, could you do that? I don't want to put you on the spot too much on it.
Yeah, no, I think I owe the city staff a phone call about that as well. So I'll put that on the agenda for next month, and we can update on that, certainly.
It'd be great. Thank you so much for that. If there's no other questions for staff, I will move to the correspondence. Do we have any correspondence for this meeting?
We do not.
No, we do not.
Thank you very much. And then just board communications. Any board members have any communications? Director Martinez-Rubin.
This is a fun thing. So I was happy to see Wes at the City of Pinellas National Night Out, which was deferred from the usual August 5th date to later in October with a Halloween theme. And it was wonderful to see Wes hopping around or walking around, mingling with all the children and adults who participated. So thank you, Mr. General Manager. You don't know the fun that you missed. Mika was swarmed by children and adults alike. So having Wes there and having WestCat represented was really pretty extraordinary. I had the pleasure of joining Mika for a little bit at the table and promoting the free bus rides during the month of October. So thanks for being there. I know I've asked for Wes around, and this time of year, it's hard to be in that suit. So please thank the gentleman who had an alternative life form for that evening, making it fun for the children and the adults. Thank you.
Well, I will say that Wes was really nervous about doing that beforehand. I saw the videos throughout the night as he got more and more involved and comfortable being out and about with people again. So Wes had a lot of fun, I'll say that. Wes is looking forward to the next event.
Great, thank you.
Okay, any other board members have anything to report on? Okay, Director Martinez-Rubin.
Yeah, I'll continue with the good news because I think it's helpful to all of us, and so it's very encouraging, aside from the meetings that we attend, which are very, nice company, but in reality, who we serve. I was reminded today, or maybe not even reminded, but like made increasingly aware of how essential WestCat lines are to get youth to Pinole Valley High School. From the vice principal today, he gave a figure that 38% of the student population is from Pinole, which means that the flip side of that has students coming in from neighboring cities, and many of them use the lines that leave them right out front of the high school, and that's pretty extraordinary. So thank you all, and please pass this on to all the bus drivers who ride those routes. I don't know if they feel like they want to take cover when they see the swarm of high schoolers leaving the campus and hopping on the buses, but please let them know that they are providing a service that is being used, and just makes it that much more important to have transit access for that population, the student population throughout our neighboring cities in Pinole. Thank you.
We'll
you.
pass it on. Thank you.
Okay, with that, sorry, Councilmember Grimsley.
I just wanted to invite everyone to visit the city of Hercules because we're celebrating Filipino Heritage Month with books and artwork at our library. And this Saturday at 2:00, there will be a special presentation. So that's our invitation to come on out.
Yes, very excited. We had a very good turnout at our last Councilmember as we read a proclamation on that. So thank you for reminding me. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'm just taking one last look around. This will be our adjournment. Our next scheduled board meeting will be on November 10th, 2022. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.